Hello everybody, this is Debo with Debo's Movie Reviews here, and this week's review will be XXX, starring of course Vin Diesel as XXX, aka Xander Cage, featuring Samuel Jackson as Augustus Gibbons, Michael Roof as Agent Toby Lee Shavers, Age Argento, and Martin Zokas as Yorgi, and in smaller roles, Thomas Ian Griffith as the Bond ripoff who dies at that as the Rammstein concert, and of course Danny Trejo as the lead drug lord in the Colombian drug farm scene. I gotta say, definitely one of our masterpiece of the early 2000s, one of the most iconic action movies of all time. And the take on this between this one and the which the sequel I find a hell of a lot better, which I'll just say XXX ought have been, they should have did an anthological take on that franchise instead of do one with instead of did a second instead of convince Vin to do a second one like so many years later. But I'll get to that one in another video. But I do admit, but let's just say first XXX, pretty good concept of a criminal work dude gets deputized trope. I mean, no, I just thought that was a badass stunt beginning of the movie where he just stole that Cinder's Corvette, and I'm just like, and he's just surprised he didn't make a remark about not only did he want to ban rap music video games, but hey, he didn't want to make one more surprise, one flaw as how he didn't make a remark about how he practically brought that Corvette on the taxpayer dime. I mean, which some could have been something, but hey, at least that stunt had a good cameos by Tony Hawk and Brian Deegan, and which is surprising in a blink and you'll miss it, like I mentioned with Thomas Ian Griffith, which I just found out doing some quick little look it up in right before I made this here video. And just realized that was Martin Sokos, and after being an underrated villain actor, which though this one was not one of his most highest points, besides a couple of Xena episodes and the Sons of Liberty miniseries and Into the Badlands. I mean, now Into the Badlands, now that was one of the best things he's done. Hell, kind of like another flaw is how they you didn't actually get the rights to actually use Anarchy Burger by the Vandals, but hey, it pretty much introduced a whole generation of Vandals as much as Stranger Things did for Metallica and Kate Bush. Hell. And another flaw was how it kind of should at least had in the soundtrack should have had like GTO by Running at Daytona, since they actually used the GTO, which was one of the biggest climactic highlights of the movie for XXX, which the first one of course is just James Bond for new metal fans, given the whole Rammstein and Drowning Pool soundtrack, which kind of explains that other complaint about how the Vandals and Ronnie Daytona's kind of weren't acknowledged because punk ain't new metal, and neither was running at Daytonas. But hell, at least some epic stunts. And that ultra, even at one scene where he knew he was knew he'd been tested, given how just given on the fact that he just spotted the chick with the high heels and the, which is a giveaway in a waitress, like you said, about career waitresses. And the obviously fake guns. But I gotta give it to old Samuel L. Jackson. He knocked it out of the park. For how you say how like the moment Nick Fury recruits Groot to Shield in a way, for some Marvel humor out there. And oh yeah, and then don't even start on Anchor 99. Talk about one. Your cliche actor spy movie villain. It's kind of like I always do that Eastern Europe thing. It's always like when I first got streaming stars, look up Scott Adkins and John Claude Van Damme movies, and almost every damn one always had that similar plot of location areas, which XXX was a better take and a different twist on that trope, instead of that overused, instead of just the overused recycled stuff of that pretty much take out all the action sports and new metal. Would have been like Eastern Europe, be like, is there like, which is almost like Eastern Europe fucking spy movies, which is almost like the hallmark of the straight to video genre. Yeah, I'm kind of like surprised in the other sequel, or at least did some anthological sequels with like Lundgren or Van Damme back in the day. There's still time for one with Scott Adkins, though. And of course, I got to give it to Michael Roof, who's sadly no longer with us, but he did a decent job as Agent Shavers, who was basically like the Q of the XXX verse. And hell, I got an idea for anthological type sequel to it. Was just like, it'd be like make a period piece like the 70s or 80s or 60s with like the Cold War, and the Xander Cage of that version be a NASCAR driver who gets busted for running moonshine. Now that would be better than fucking new metal Bond. But I do find that trope scene funny at the beginning, or the fake Bond knockoff. I'm just like, yeah, for a spy, that's, and always kind of like the tropes of how, all the claims about how Bond was a terrible spy. But yeah, that parody was a lot worse, given just being a spy, but you going loud, but you're giving yourself away by wearing a tuxedo to a Rammstein concert. Yeah. I'm just like God, makes you sus. I was like, yeah. And I gotta give us some quotes like the things I do for my country and all I live for this shit. And I gotta give it to old Danny Trejo, because he knocks it out of the park in that small role. Hell, all the hell. that could have been like a concept for a sequel with him as a villain, main villain. Would have been a more missed opportunity, but we all know Trejo likes to more 9 times out of 10 prefers cameos over lead roles. But hey, and reasons not to bring back. They shouldn't have brought back Vin Diesel for that second one was because of how similar the Fast and Furious movies have gotten. I mean, damn, the only difference between Xander Cage and Dom Toretto was the tattoos and the GTO over Dodge Charger. Kind of surprised when the Fast Furious that they didn't do like a nod of how about that, given how both movies were made. First movies were made. A couple of movies were made by Rob Cohen, which it kind of explains the tie-in and the cliche doing a take on the cliche Russian post-war Cold War Russian villains and all, and the whole bio-war thing and the Ahab thing, and the sentient boat kind of deal, which kind of just might as well just could just say I'll rate XXX about a 3 stars, which is fitting for a code name that's just free X's. Alright, y'all, that'll do it for this week. Leave comments, subscribe, and get shouts and recommendations that I might do future videos on, and I'll keep dishing them out.